Casey, I really enjoyed your Vendome Fire Memorial visual essay. I had some questions about it. I like the point about the ways in which there are dexicals, but I was really much more curious about how you were reading the iconic dimensions of the memorial. In other words, there seems to be iconicity going on, but what precisely is there? Yes, that it's in a dexical in the sense that it sort of points our attention to the fire, but what's iconic about it? I mean, one obvious way, you mentioned the Durkheimian collective effervescent aspects of all of this, a sense of unity that comes with the bell and so forth, and of course with shared sacrifice. And that seems iconically to be represented or embodied by the fact that the ark itself, while it seems to be made up of 9 sort of slabs, has no space between those slabs. They all collectively die together and in a sense are remembered together. So that unity is expressed. Wasn't quite clear how the ark itself, what it was iconic of, except a sort of sense of enclosure perhaps, although also open. The single hat, as opposed to 9 firemen's hats, would seem to be suggestive of something, that they're all sort of subsumed in common sacrifice. So again, in support of your sort of collectivist reading of that, which sounded persuasive. Those points could have been perhaps more clearly brought out with more precise editing. In other words, there wasn't quite a matchup between the words and the reading of the image. I know that's difficult, but it might be something to continue to work on, although I thought many of the images were extremely helpful. Of course, the references to Durkheim, very helpful, but the whole question about sacrifice and even the notion of sort of burnt offerings, as horrific as that is, what kind of a Holocaust this was, and does that intensify the sense of a kind of male solidarity, perhaps even bringing in some of Nancy J. on Throughout Your Generations Forever, in reference to sacrifice would be useful. Finally, in reference to the iconic qualities, going back to the sort of semiotic dimensions of this, the reflective qualities of the stone itself seem to be significant. We see ourselves in this space, as at the Vietnam Memorial. Is that just coincidental, or is that sort of overdetermined so that we have a sense of being on the sort of shadow border zones between life and death, that we see ourselves reflected in our own lives, and the standing of the buildings behind us, safeguarded by the firemen. Just interested more on that, and maybe more on this question about what kinds of masculinity in particular are signaled through the memorial. Very thought-provoking essay, and hope you pick up some of these problems about iconicity. Thanks.